Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sports Show right here on Smash FM here on a Tuesday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's go to our friends up in the Harbour City. And of course, it's been with their, of course, they're in a Hawks netball club. And of course, their season concluded just about a month and a half ago now. And of course, we've got three very special guest joiners right now to tell us a bit about the amazing month they had in the month of September. They join us right now. Thanks all three for joining us.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Well, get all three to introduce yourselves and what position all three played on the court this past season.
Eliza, I play goal attack.
I'm Freddie and I played goal defense goalkeeper.
I'm Jess and I'm a centre wing attack.
An amazing month for all three. Obviously played for your club in the grand final, which we won't talk about because I know the result of that grand final. And of course, then you went to nationals. I think maybe a week or maybe 2 weeks after that. Tell us a bit about the amazing experience.
Yeah, no, that was really awesome. We went away with the Swifts Academy to Queensland, where we competed in a week-long competition versus all the other different academies across all the different states, which we were pretty lucky enough to come away with silver again. But yeah, really proud of all the girls and how we come together as a team.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. Me and Jess both played the Swifts, which was really cool to see because they had a few of the Suncorp Super Netball girls coming down and play, which is also really cool because you got to see what it would be like to be in the actual competition and see what type of players you'd come up against. And like Jess said, it was a really cool experience to actually get to the final, even though, once again,
finished, as already been mentioned a couple of times, falling short in the grand final. So by the time you finished the ANC and finished in the same position you were a couple of weeks ago, a couple of weeks before that for your club, you must have got sick of finishing silver, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we definitely did. But I think, yeah, we definitely could have gone all the way in our Hawks team, which that was quite a disappointing loss. But I think with the academy, we're just super proud. Obviously devastating to fall short, but we're just super proud with how much we improved since last year and how connected we were as a team, and even just getting to the grand finals a pretty amazing thing in itself, and to only fall short by 2, we're pretty proud of ourselves and each other.
A bit about the ANC one. You played against the Magpies, I believe, in that ANC game up in Brisbane.
Yep.
Tell us a bit about it, and how strange was it to possibly play against the Magpies, who'd probably be playing their last ANC?
I think we were pretty, like what Jess said, pretty grateful to be in that position in the first place, because I think going into it, we had a few new players, like it was my first year playing, but it was, you could tell that they came out really firing because it was like genuinely their last game that they'd ever play as a club. So you could tell, like, we were up for the first 3 quarters, and then in that last quarter they gave 4, which was clear in the result. But yeah, I think we could have had it, like Jess said. We were this close in both, but we just fell short.
Yeah, no, Freddie summed it up pretty well. I think they had a little bit of fire in their belly. I mean, so did everyone, but obviously being their last ever sort of competition that they could be involved in, I think they wanted it a lot, and they proved that in the last quarter, which they came out on top, and they played excellent netball. It was a great game to be a part of, and I think for people to watch as well, which is nice that the standard was, it was a good, tough, close game. And yeah, it was kind of sad to lose, but it was nice to see them get a win and go out on a high.
Felt like a proper grand final, like it was. Yeah, it was pretty close, and it was like a lot of pressure in it.
Obviously, I don't want to relive the other grand final, but I'm going to have to just for a moment. I think you played against Manly Marengo in the grand final. I think it was at was it Netball Central or was it Ken Roswell?
Ken Roswell.
Okay, so first part, 2-part question then. The first one is, how special was the play at Ken Roswell? And the second part of that question is, was that grand final very similar how it turned out to be in your ANC one?
Yeah, I think it's super exciting to play at Ken Rosewell. We have so much of a bigger crowd when we're there, and I think it felt really loud and like a real grand final when we were there because of how many people were there. We get to train during the week there as well, which is really cool just to get yourself kind of settled into the environment. But I think it's really special, one, to be able to play a grand final at all, but to then be able to play it where they play Suncorp is really cool as well.
Touching on the second part of that question, I think grand final, whatever sort of competition you're in, is super nerve-wracking and super exciting. And I honestly, personally feel like I was just as nervous for either of the grand finals, just because it's tough to get there and to make it there. And like the competition that you're in, who you're versing is tough, both competitions. So I think, yeah, the nerves were just quite as equal and the losses were just as tough.
Yeah.
It's a bit different though, because when you're playing in the Premier League, you're playing against like the people that you train with every week, and the people that we went away with to ANC, literally both of our teams were filled with Swiss players. So it's really weird to sort of go so that we had the grand final the day before, lost by 1, and then the next night had to rock up to train with all of them and be like, okay, well now together as a team because we're going away in 2 weeks to a competition where we're going with the same outlook, which was good because you sort of know how they play, but then also, I mean, you're even more competitive with the people that you're playing against because you want to be better with them, even though, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I promise this is the last question I'm going to ask about finishing runner-up. 4-3. So which one hurts the most?
I don't know. Like I said before, I think they hurt in different kind of ways. Like Freddie said, the one versing your teammates, like we versed girls that we were in the academy with, and that sucked because it was like you want to beat your friends, you want to beat those people that you know and verse every week, but also train with. So that hurt in that sense, having to then face them again the next day. But then the other loss was, I don't know. I honestly couldn't pick it. The other one hurt as well because we'd made it all that way and we were only there for a week. So we only have a week to really prove ourselves, and then to fall short by 2 when we were so close and we knew we could have done it. So yeah, I don't know which one.
I reckon honestly, because for the ERNA, like preparing for months, like your pre-season is like almost like months long, and then you have this entire competition. And for a while, I felt like, especially going to the final, I felt like even though we're in the semis, I sort of felt like we were on top anyway. Like I think everyone sort of thought we were going to get away with it. And that's why I think the whole season we were a bit much. And I literally was so ready to us. Like we had gotten so close, and to lose by, and like the same thing with the ANC, we were up for most of the game. And then to fall short, like they obviously just came back a little bit harder, to fall short by that 1 point in front of like a home crowd, everyone that you know is in the crowd, all your family, all your friends. That's why I think the ERNA one was a little bit more difficult, that we were in a top position, whereas ANC for me, for my first year, I was just not going in, happy to be there, and it was just a cool experience to even be in the grand final. So I think the ERNA one probably stung a little bit more.
Yeah, like I didn't go to ANC, but I have lost grand finals in Premier League before, and I think this year was harder because we knew we could have won it, and I think we were going into that game not expecting to win, but with the intention, obviously going to a grand final with the intention of winning, but we knew we had it in us to win. And I think we've beaten that team before in rounds as well, and obviously finals are a completely different ball game, but we had such a like united goal as a team, and I don't think I've been a part of a team that had such a vision to win that grand final. So I think that was why it was so disappointing, is that we knew we could have and we just fell short. But next year 2024, it's happening.
Didn't even feel like we lost after it. Like we were so, but I just couldn't believe that we'd actually, like
yeah, it was
shock.
like we're in shock. Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about all 3 your netball journeys. Where did it all start and why did you choose it? And the second part of that question, what does the sport of netball mean to you, especially being at the ERNA Hawks netball
I started playing netball when I was like 8. My mum has grew up playing netball all her life, so I was sort of forced into it, I suppose, but grew up around it. I'm from a small country town, so we had like footy netball clubs, and it was the most fun to be a part of. Like my brothers would play footy for the same club and I'd play netball, and it was just really fun day out. And as I went along, I was just involved in reps and stuff like that, and a few years ago made my first under 17s state team, which was a really cool experience from someone being from a regional country town. Making a state team was sort of a big thing. So that was sort of my first thought where I thought I could do something with it. And obviously COVID hit, so I took a little bit of a break, and then we came back, and I think ERNA Hawks is just really special to be a part of because they're so supportive and everyone gets along really well. And I think that's where we get a lot of our success is from our connectedness and how united we are. And like Eliza was saying, that end goal and that focus that we all have, literally every single one of us really pulls us through. And then, I've been a part of the Swifts Academy for 2 years and fortunate to been invited into the Australian under-21s last year and then a part of the squad this year. So I've been pretty lucky with my journey. And I guess my end goal, I really want to just keep loving the sport and keep playing it and, obviously make it as far as I can, but as long as I'm enjoying it and having fun, then that's all that I can ask for, really.
I was playing netty when I was around the same age, like year 2. I got into it through school. I'm from around in Sydney, so in the city. So I just played down at Heffron. And can you still hear me? Sorry, my phone. I just played down in Heffron and I couldn't stop moving since I was little. And mum was like, "You need to go into sport because you're driving me crazy." So I she just set off, did every sport under the sun, but netball was something that I really liked because it was a team sport and a team environment. And then I just sort of did the same thing as Jessie, went up through the rep teams, had like every Sunday was out at who knows where doing a carnival. And then 2 years ago, I got selected into the 17 state team, which was a really big honour as well because I hadn't really been we had something called Sydney Netball Academy, and I was pretty new to that whole thing because I had changed. I actually used to be a shooter and they moved me into defence, and I was pretty new to that. So I was pretty surprised to actually be in the state team and was a massive honour, and then just made my way through there. And then this year I'm still trial for the New South Wales under-19s and was pretty fortunate to get into the Aussies under-19s last year. And then this was my first year going to ANC experience to just like I wanted to be there, to be honest. I didn't really expect to play and just be exposed to all that talent and all that experience from the oldest players. I think the same, obviously the goal is to make it a career, especially when you've worked on something your entire life. Like you've got almost 4 or 5 nights a week out at Netball Central, driving heaps, like a lot of commitments that you sacrifice. But it just the same goal. Like I just want to have fun with it and keep enjoying it. And I keep there. And this is my first year actually being part of ERNA. And like I said, as soon as I got to the first camp for pre-season, I had felt I'd known the girls forever. Like it's a very family orientated club. All the coaches and a lot of the players had been there for a really long time. So I'm pretty grateful to get the call from Anita, the head coach, to come over and play. And it's probably the most welcoming team I've ever been a part of. And you just fit straight in, no matter what position you play, no matter your personality, you just go straight in and it just feels like home. And I'm pretty grateful and pretty lucky that I made the decision to come over. Been a really good experience.
So for me, I started playing netball when I was like 4 or 5. I'm from rural New South Wales, so Gunnedah. My mum and sister played. I always wanted to play footy, so I just used to tackle everyone on the court because I wanted to be playing that instead. So played growing up in Gunnedah, played rep same as the girls, played like for my regional academy there, which was Northern Inland Academy, and then trialled all through like school system for the state teams, and I never made the state teams for under 17s. I was in like the development squad, so I used to come down to Sydney every weekend. Mum would do the 12-hour round trip every weekend for trainings throughout year 10, 11 and 12. And then when I was 17 and finished the HSC, I moved down to Sydney to play with GWS Fury. So I moved there and played there for the first 2 years in the under 23s, and we won my first year, which was very exciting. And then from that, I made the under 19 state team in my last year, like available to play state. Unfortunately, COVID then ruined that for me. But then I moved to Central Coast. I played 2 years in Central Coast Opens. One was obviously cancelled because of COVID, and then the second year made the grand final and lost. And then this year moved to Eastwood for my first year as well, same as Fred's. So 2 grand final losses in a row. So hopefully third time's a charm. But yeah, with Eastwood, it felt like home straight away, same as Freddie. I think like I've felt so welcome as soon as I came, and I think the big thing with Eastwood is that they care about you so much as a person as well as a player, which I think is so important, all being like young females going through the pathways and having to deal with life outside of netball as well. So I thought that was really special, and just the team unit that we had, like I think if you had a bad day at training or you weren't yourself, you get three messages from 3 different people that night checking in on you, and I think that's a really special part of being part of Eastwood, and I think that's instilled through Anita and obviously everyone who works at the club and stuff as well. So I've been very fortunate to be there, and I'm excited to be there again next year as well.
Eliza, 2-part question I'm going to ask you based off your response just then. The first one you mentioned about tackling people around the court. So if you didn't play netball, would you be playing footy?
I don't know. Now, yes, probably that footy's a big thing, but I used to do little athletics. So that was my thing as well. Used to do that. Used to do touch footy, any sport, same as Freddie, I guess. I couldn't stop moving, and in a small town, there's nothing really much to do other than sport. So anything I could do, I'd be part of. Okay,
and then the second part of the question I'm going to ask is, so by the sounds of it, you've been in 3 grand finals. Obviously, you won your first one with the Fury, and obviously you've lost 2 grand finals in a row with 2 different clubs. I think I know the answer for the which I'm not going to ask. Which of the grand finals are better? Well, I'm sure it's the one that you won. But why have you? But why have you learned from the 3 of them? 3 grand finals that you competed in.
Oh, that's a good question. I think I took a lot from last year's grand final loss. Last year we lost by a bit of a bigger margin. And I think I came into this grand final, like obviously I was still nervous, and I often let the nerves get the better of me in those kind of bigger moments. But I think this year I didn't as much because I'd kind of learnt from last year, and last year was my first time playing at Ken Rosewell. It was my first time playing in like an Opens grand final. So I was obviously very scared, and I think I let the whole situation get the better of me, whereas I think I learned a lot from that. Coming into this year's grand final, I knew where I was going, I knew what it would be like, and I knew the kind of mental preparation that I would have to do prior to the game to be in the best mindset, which obviously is still a learning curve, but I think I was a lot better at that this year than I was. But I think the biggest thing I've learned is just taking like the experience and running with it. Like I think I've been incredibly lucky. Like every year I've been lucky enough to play in a grand final, and I think that's not many people get to do that. So I think just like actually enjoying it rather than letting the nerves overrule the experience. So I think I enjoyed this year slightly more, obviously not the ending, but the lead up to it and everything as well is so exciting. So definitely just embracing the opportunity.
All 3 you mentioned right at the start, what position all 3 play on the court? If you had a dream position, we'd love to convince your coaches to put you next year. Where would that be? Be honest.
Go on, Jess.
I would love to be a shooter. Goal attack is my dream position. It always has been, and I'm still sure that I'm going to end up being goal attack one day. No, that's never going to happen, but I've always wanted to be a shooter. I don't think I could handle the pressure either, but I just love the idea of having the glory shots and the 2-pointers. And I just reckon it'd be a great position to play.
I would love to be a defender. I feel like I get quite can get aggressive when I play. So I would love to be able to do that and like have that as my job, and have none of the pressures of shooting as well would be great.
Be an annoying defender as well.
Would be, yeah.
In a good way. In a good way.
No, I know. Freddie?
I reckon. Oh, I like being a defender because I like what Eliza said. Like you there's a lot of pressure off because you're not really expected to like in shooting. But I'd like to be a center because the whole reason I got moved out of being a shooter was just because I was so annoying because I wanted to get every second ball. So I think that I'd be able to sort of do that and like be just around like a headless chicken.
Are you saying we run around like headless chickens?
I do have respect because I don't know if I could do that fitness wise. That's the one thing that I don't think I could last.
No, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got to ask as a follow-up for all three. How has trying to convince your coaches to where you want to go on the court, how's that traveled this year?
Yeah, that just doesn't really work for me. I'm quite small on the netball court, so I get laughed at, I think, but the dream's still there.
I don't think Fred and I would even try because I think we'd just get laughed at.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, I think Fred and I and Nita would just laugh at us if we both tried to say we wanted to go to like defense or to mid-court or something. Would just be it would be a straight up no.
Tell you where they want you to go. Like you usually don't really have a choice. Like a high thing, like Jess was saying, like even for me, you'd think if you saw me on the street, I was pretty tall. I'm sort of leaning towards that wing defense. They're like too short, off you go, and get pushed to wherever they want you really, and you just have to step up.
What have all three learnt from each other on and off the court?
I'll start because I've actually spoken with Jess about this, but Jess and I have obviously never played. No, this is actually a nice thing. This isn't like a mean thing. This is nice. Jess and I had obviously never played together before this year. So like we had to build up a connection on the court because obviously she feeds me as a wing attack center. And I, as I said, struggle with nerves and things when I'm shooting. And Jess this year, we like had a lot of conversations on and off the court about like what we can do to help each other out with that aspect of our game. And she started this thing where like if she could tell I was getting like nervous, she'd just like talk to me whenever I was shooting, and it just worked every time. Like she'd yell at me sometimes when I was shooting, but it worked because I just needed her little voice in my head. And so definitely I think we learned what we both need on the court to like get the best out of each other when we're playing, which was I think really cool this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think we like Eliza and I have come a long way from like the beginning to the end. Obviously, if first time playing with people, it's going to take a while, but I think it took us like off the court being like, hey, this probably isn't really working. What do we need to do? Not that it wasn't working, but it just wasn't smooth, and we kind of both recognized that and brought it up with each other in like the best way, just being like, maybe we could try this, and then recognizing that, yeah, her nerves get to her, and what can I sort of do to support her? And, you know, like I've got her also supporting me if I'm also in a slump, which is nice. And I think from Freddie too, like Freddie on the court is just like, she says that she wouldn't be able to do center because of her fitness, but like she runs out a whole game in goal defense and she's got bloody asthma. Oh, sorry. She's got asthma and she like absolutely kills every single game. And I think watching her play and being on her team, honestly, like she's younger than me. It's her first year in the academy, but she drives me to be better. Like I see how she's not giving up. She's got asthma. I don't have asthma. So I'm like, I can't give up. So I think, yeah, her determination is just so inspiring. And I think I've learned so much from her to be like mentally tough and just push through.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.
I think I mean, Jess had to drive me to training pretty much every session, so she's probably learned a lot and probably got a little bit sick of me. But I think both of the girls, what like ERNA really instills in like everyone is to really talk to each other and how you really speak to each other. Like I said, what ERNA really instills in you is how do you talk to each other and how when you're in those big games, if someone's down or if something's not working, how you can get each other out of it. Like, I think Eliza, if I get an intercept, if I'm not doing anything, I can always hear Eliza being like, yes, Fredster, yes, whatever. Even if she's on the other side of the court, like, she's the first person I hear. And in the same way, like, because me and Jess are more close, like, on the court, I can hear, like, she does this big clap to me, and I just know that I can trust her, and I know that she's, like, she's always the one that I look for. Like, I think when you're playing with people, obviously you trust everyone on the court, but there are those people that you immediately look for, and Jess is definitely one of them. Yeah, I think when you're playing with someone and you have a really good connection with them on and off the court, it just makes you, like, trust each other so much more. And, like, I'm close with both of the girls, and I think we've got a good connection together.
And I just do think, in adding on to that, I think this isn't even the learning thing, but this is just on adding on to what Freddie said. I think the reason why our team did so well this year, obviously we have a lot of really talented players, but I think we had such a great connection off the court as a team. Like, we were such a united team. Someone threw you a bad pass, no one yelled at you. Like, we just got on with the job. And I think having such a close unit outside of the court, I think that was reflective in our performances on the court massively.
It sort of allowed us to then be comfortable, like, I think, to have those conversations with each other of how we could improve, or knowing that when we're giving each other feedback, it's not rude, it's constructive, it's for the benefit of the team. And then we're also able to recognize different traits of people on the court that you may not have been able to recognize had you not have known them as well. So I think, so I agree exactly with what Eliza said.
We also, when we would play against other teams, we were all, I reckon, so confident in our ability to be like, stay calm and not like immediately turn against each other when things sort of went downhill, which is why I think we were also disappointed that we didn't get that win in the end, because we felt like we were definitely the team that had that strong bond and had that, like, even when we did lose, no one was blaming anyone. Everyone was just, you dealt with it together, and that's just how it was. And I feel like that's why next year, hopefully, if we get the same team back together, we won't have any problems coming back from the loss, because we're still so bonded off that court. It doesn't really matter.
Two-part question, and it's a light-hearted one. The first one is, who's the comedian, the best singer, and into their TikTok/BeReal? And the second part of that question is, who had the most embarrassing moments on the court this past season, and what was it?
Okay, well, for TikTokers, I think you're looking at all three of them. I think plus Dakota, I would say it's us three that are the TikTokers of the team.
We are.
And Nita, actually. Anita can jump on and get going in a little TikTok.
Yeah, we are the leaders of the TikTokers.
Yeah, we are.
Huh?
I think best singer's Jess. I drove with her all season, and she's got a good voice.
I won't deny it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I don't reckon I've really heard anybody else sing in our team.
No, I feel like we're more dancers than singers.
Yeah. I'll ask music, dance away.
Yeah.
Block out all our voices, maybe.
Actually.
There's different comedians, I reckon.
Yeah, everyone's kind of like, I don't know.
Eliza's pointed herself.
Obviously.
I don't know.
No, I feel like
Eliza's good at having, like, she's got good wit. Like, you know, if you do something bad, the first person that's gonna make a joke about it is Eliza.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like our entire team are comedians. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like we have such a funny group. Like, we just laugh all the time off the court.
I feel like I'm laughed at more than I'm getting laughed with.
I was going to say, Freddie, I think everyone laughs at Freddie because she just says silly things. But I don't think that's she doesn't mean to, so she's not a comedian. She's just funny. We're all funny. We're all great to be around. Really fun.
I reckon everyone's had their fair share of embarrassing moments, though.
Yeah. On the court, I can't think of any. I feel like, Eliza, you always have like a fall or something that you put on
every game.
Back it quite.
Yeah, I think it's not a full game of netball unless I've stacked it at least once.
Yeah.
But we're all like...
Yeah, go.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, we're all like, when you look at some of the action shots, I feel like they're all low-key a bit embarrassing. Like, Jonna, our will send through action shots of the week, and I mean, mine are always, like, I always stick my tongue out when I play, so that's, I don't know if that counts as embarrassing, but the photos are definitely not good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really narrow it down to one embarrassing moment.
I feel like there's been too many.
Maybe losing. No.
Yeah, let's say that losing the grand final.
Nah, just kidding.
All three, thank you so much for giving up some of your time to join us. An amazing season for all three, especially, got to the grand final, especially for the two of you, got to the grand final twice in the space of 3 weeks. Best of luck next season in 2024. Hopefully I'll be up in Sydney next year to hopefully support the Hawks in 2024. And hopefully it all goes well and go one step further than 2023 this year.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
No worries. And that's Jess, Eliza, and Freddie. They're joining us from the NRL Hawks netball team. Of course, if you want to support the team in 2024, we'll put all the details up on how you can support the Hawks in next season. There's more on the Smash Sports Show right after this. Don't go away here on the 10th year celebration.